So if you live in the United States, you definitely know about this particular Honda Accord. It replaced this Accord that you see on the screen. And if you like the design of this new generation Accord, and if you wanted one, you could buy one in late 1993, as 1994 was its initial model year. But a lot of people don't know around this time, there were actually two different versions intended for different car markets around the world. Yep, so that means there was more than one Honda Accord on sale simultaneously. One version of the Accord was made for the European market, and the other was developed for us here in North America, as well as the Japanese domestic market. So we're gonna talk about this lesser known Accord and all of that good stuff. So there were two companies that worked together to make this happen. Honda was one company and the Rover Group was the other. Now, these two companies joined forces and created the European Accord. But that wasn't all. They also created a car known as the Rover 600. And I would like to point out that this was not the first time both of these companies decided to collaborate on a vehicle. There was the successful joint collaboration they had with the Japanese domestic market Honda Legend and the Rover 800. So when this Honda Accord did make its debut for the European market, it was completely different from the one we got here in North America. So pretty much Honda knew that their European customers had a different taste than what we had here in America. The European customers, they didn't mind having things like a 4-cylinder engine under their hood. But us over here, we had to just have V6 engines and all that stuff, which Honda later did offer in the 1995 American Accord. Furthermore, the people at Honda knew that styling preferences were not the same. And this is yet another reason why two different vehicles that wore the same nameplate went on sale for two different continents. And another thing, since Honda already had a factory in the UK, it could build the Euro version there, while those for North America could just be made at Marysville, Ohio. Now, this particular car was nothing more than another variant of the car you see on the screen. Yes, that is a JDM Honda, and it was based on the previous 4th generation Accord chassis. This car was designed in 1989 and it looked kind of like the 4th generation Prelude, which was also designed in '89. How ironic. And actually, I always thought these looked like a sedan version of the '92 Prelude, which isn't a bad thing because the '92 Prelude was definitely a good looking car. So yeah, there was definitely some family resemblance with these models. By 1996, the Euro Accord got a mid-cycle refresh, and this is what it looked like. There was a new front end and slightly different tail lamps. It no longer looked like a 4-door Prelude, but it was stylish. And I always thought that these looked good enough where Honda could have brought it stateside and rebadged it as an Acura. Maybe it could have been positioned below the TL and sold as a premium alternative to the standard American Accord. So the European Accord boasted a completely different design language than the Accord we got here. The Accord here in the States, it had the typical streamlined sedan styling. On the flip side, the European model was low slung and sported a fastback shape that included rear quarter windows. And another thing, it was kind of like a hardtop sedan, so it had the frameless doors, kind of like on the first, second, and third generation Lexus ES. It was like a hardtop sedan, which I thought was a cool touch because most sedans didn't have that. Now, the North American Accord was a handsome car, and it still is, but the one they got in Europe, it looked a little more unique. Okay, it looked a little more unique, and it looked different than something we would get here in the United States. So unlike its North American counterpart, the European Accord did not have a coupe or wagon spin-off. Honda believed it was more feasible to just import the coupe and wagon variants of the global Accord. So there was a diesel engine offered for the European spec Accord. The diesel model featured the direct injection 2-liter Rover L Series inline 4 diesel engine, and this engine was also featured in the Rover 600 that I mentioned earlier. So you recall me talking about the Rover 600. Well, that particular car shared its platform with the European Accord. The front doors, the lower rear doors, and a few components up front were shared with this Euro spec Accord. And other than that, the 600 had its own design language. Overall, it was an elegant looking car. Inside the 600, it was kind of like the European spec Accord, and it even shared the dashboard with the Euro Accord. To be fair, we did end up getting the European Accord in the form of the Acura TSX, which I did like. It was stylish and it was a worthy upscale alternative to the Honda Accord. And just FYI, Honda stopped selling the Accord Euro in 2015. Now earlier I mentioned that Honda could have brought this car to America and sold it as an Acura. And you're probably thinking that there probably would have been too many sedans in their lineup, but I don't think that would have been a problem back then because, you know, back then everything was sedans. I mean, they only had one SUV in their lineup, and I think that was the SLX, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like today how you can go to pretty much any car brand and just be overwhelmed with the choices of SUVs and crossovers. Well, it's kind of like that back in the day. You know, there were so many different sedans you could choose from, so I don't think it would have been a problem if Honda had brought this car to the States and rebadged it as an Acura, you know, and positioned it below the 3.5 RL and the 3.2 TL, and maybe it could have been the first generation TSX, you know, I don't know, but I understand they had the 4-door Integra on sale at that time, but I think if people like the look of this car, it wouldn't have ate up sales from the 4-door Integra, you know, so, or even if they rebadged this car, well, not rebadged it, but if they brought it over as a Honda, I mean, maybe it could have been a 4-door Prelude, you know, so yeah, they could have did that too. But we did not get this model. I think it looked cool. It was definitely unique. When I was stationed in Japan in the military, I had the chance to see one of these up close and personal, and they do look pretty cool. I think they've aged well, and yeah, just a pretty neat looking car. Okay, so that's it for this discussion. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you on the next one.